Hey guys, it's Sifa. I'm making this video to explain how I became a model and also how I dealt with my scars as a model and some tips on how maybe you can get into modeling as well if you have scars or if you don't have scars. So, first of all, first of all, I want to make it clear that if you haven't seen my scars, I have a video about them. They're extremely old and very faded, and so they don't really show up super intense in pictures anyway. So it makes it a little bit easier to cover them up through Photoshop and whatever. And I do have some photographers that do Photoshop them out, and it's a lot easier whenever they are silver like mine. If they're red like their newer scars or dark, then it would probably be harder for them to cover them up, and it might be a little bit more difficult to model with dark scars like that. So you may just want to wait for them to fade for a little while first, or use some Mederma on them. Mederma scar treatment or just any kind of lotion or anything will help them to turn silver quicker. So basically, how did I get into modeling in the first place? Well, I never really wanted to be a model because I thought that I was like ugly and like too fat and like blah blah blah. But I still thought that I was kind of pretty, so I would constantly be taking selfies. I mean, who doesn't take selfies? But anyway, I would always be taking selfies of myself, since I was a teenager, mostly of just my face. And I did it so much that I kind of learned my angles really well, and I learned what faces look good on me, and different types of faces that I could make, and different little things that I could do to look really interesting in pictures. And so actually taking selfies helped me become a better model. It really did. So, also, I always have been working out. I've always worked out, tried to eat healthy, tried to keep my body healthy. It makes a difference. Even if you're a plus size model like me, working out and eating healthy makes a difference. It makes your curves curvier and less saggy and less bumpy and whatever. It makes you look healthier. You look firmer. And if you're a regular size model or whatever, exercising and eating healthy is going to help you for sure. I also got a lot of tips from watching America's Next Top Model for years, and I know that sounds silly, but hey, if it helped me, So then what happened is that I decided to become a site model. And the reason I did this was to promote my YouTube, and also because I wanted to learn more about modeling and get into modeling more. So I began to have little mini photo shoots with my friends. And the first site I joined was Alex Addicted, and Alexa really kind of inspired me and made me feel like, like I was beautiful, and made me feel like a good person again, and really got me on the right track to learning to love myself again. And after years of battling with self-injury and anorexia and everything. And I gained a lot of confidence in Alex Addicted and through site modeling. And I would do mini photo shoots with my friends, just with little cameras, and I would practice modeling and stuff. Also, what you've got to do is you've got to study fashion magazines. Look at them for poses, for faces, practice in the mirror. Look at poses, memorizing them in your head, practice them in the mirror. Every little bit helps if you want to be a model. Now, one big thing that helps is that if you're going to be a model, if you're going to be a freelance model like me, I supply 90% of my own wardrobe. So whenever I do a photo shoot, 90% of the time we're wearing clothes that I bought myself. And so how do I keep the cost down on that? Well, I go to the thrift store. And there are places online, like for Lolita clothing, like a lot of the stuff that I model is Lolita. There are plenty of used Lolita boards online, like on the on LiveJournal there's a used Lolita sales board, and there's also like used Gothic sales, and like also on eBay you can find a lot of stuff used or for very cheap, Like a lot of the corsets that I get are just like, $20 for like a beautiful steel bone corset. And of course they're from China, and they're probably, I know some of them actually have like freaking lead in them and stuff. But if you're just wearing them for a shoot, it doesn't really matter. Also, that's the other thing. Don't invest in super expensive, nice clothing for shoots because it's just for a photo shoot. It doesn't have to be the best quality. As long as it looks good and works well for a photo shoot, it doesn't matter if it's going to last forever. Like for some of my lingerie, I've bought I bought it very cheaply off the internet or from like Forever 21, and yeah, it may not be comfortable, it may not be as practical, but it's just for a photo shoot. You know, if it's cheap and if it's just for a shoot, it doesn't matter that much. So don't worry about investing in super pricey stuff unless it's something that you're going to be wearing for multiple shoots or for out and about as well. You know. So after all of this, and also there's thrift stores in the area like Goodwill. I have gotten clothes from Goodwill that I've worn in photo shoots before that I've been paid for. So yeah, that's Goodwill. Seriously, give it a chance. You have to learn to have an eye and to look for what you need, but it works. So after I had been site modeling for a few months, and this was like 2.5 years ago, I decided to make a Model Mayhem account. And Model Mayhem is a website where you can connect with local photographers and actually photographers everywhere, and set up shoots and, you know, get paid, learn everything. Now there are some problems with Model Mayhem. It has been linked to a lot of murders, missing people, rapes, abductions, kidnaps, sex trafficking, things like that. So you have to be incredibly careful when you're on Model Mayhem. And if you're contacted by a photographer, you have to make sure that they are a legit person. You know, usually see if they have an official website, see if you can talk to models that they've worked with in the past, either by looking at their resume or seeing people that have commented on their wall. Or and they should have a resume, they should have people commenting on their wall, they should have a list of people that they've worked with on Model Mayhem that you can talk to. Most of them should have a website outside of Model Mayhem, whether it be a Facebook page or another website. And always bring someone to the shoot with you. Preferably a male if you can, is always best. So I made a Model Mayhem account about 2.5 years ago. And then I started doing TFP shoots, which is time for print, or basically trade shoots. And what that means is that I would trade my time and my modeling and my clothes for free photo shoots. And then I would get all the property rights and ownership of the pictures, along with the photographer would get their ownership and rights of the pictures as well. So this is a good trade because I'm getting a free professional photo shoot, and they're getting a free model and clothing, you know, and hair and makeup and everything. So I did this for about a year, and then I started charging money a little bit. My first rate was $30 an hour with an hour and a half minimum, so it was like 55 total, I think, or no, 45 total, yeah. So I did that for a while, but it wasn't really getting me by, so I raised my rates to $40 an hour with an hour and a half minimum. So now I make $60 per photo shoot usually. And it's funny because a lot of times I get tips on top of that. I don't know why, but I'm very thankful for everything, you know. If I do an extra special good job, or if I do, you know, drive a long way, they'll give me a little bit extra money, so that's always really nice. So that's what I make. I make about average compared to what models make on Model Mayhem, but to be honest, compared to what I spend on the clothing for the photo shoots, and the cost of like getting my hair done and dyeing my hair nice and getting my hair cut and stuff and taking care of my skin and everything that goes into modeling, I pretty much break even, if not maybe spend even a little bit more to model. But the money that I make modeling definitely helps out, and it's basically just a fun hobby for me. Now, do I want to be like a professional model, like with an agency? Not really. I mean, first of all, I've got scars all over my legs, and I don't think they would let me be in an agency anyway. And second of all, I don't want somebody telling me that I need to lose weight. So, yeah, as far as my scars in modeling, at first I did have a few cancellations when people found out that I had scars. They'd be like, oh, well, never mind, you know, we're not going to shoot you anymore, too bad. And it really bummed me out, you know. But that's what I have to live with, is my scars, and some people are going to like them and some people aren't, and some people get excited when they hear that I have scars, and they're like, oh wow, that sounds really cool and edgy, and we can make something really creative with this, you know, and that's fun too. But for the first year, I did not show my scars in my photo shoots. I always made sure to cover them up. And then I did one big photo shoot with a photographer named Kenny Klein, where I showed my scars, and did kind of like a metaphor for society and feminism and self-injury in a photo shoot, and you can see that on my Facebook page, on my like page if you want to see that. So what I have to say is just like, honestly, if you, I really believe, I really like, I have to say this, and like when I say this, I'm not just being silly or like just saying this just to say, but I really believe that almost anyone can become a model, because all that it really takes is talent and hard work. And that's what I had. You know, I'm tall, but I'm not super tall. I'm 5'8", so I'm just barely like the minimum to be a model. But I know plenty of girls that are like, actually all of my model friends that I know that are successful models are short. So they've all done fine, but they're thin as well. I'm not thin. I used to be thin. Whenever I started modeling, I was thin. But as I've gained weight, I've actually gotten more and more shoots. Surprisingly, I don't know why. But also, as far as being not thin and being a model, yeah, it does kind of suck, especially when I do like runway, and like do things with other models and all the models are thinner than me. It does kind of suck, but like at the end of the day, like I have to realize that people are paying me for a reason, and people are wanting me to model for them for a reason. And if they didn't think I looked good, then why the hell would they be paying me? So I have to realize that, and but yeah, it's definitely helped with my self-esteem, and it's helped me to see that I am a beautiful person inside and out. And the fact is that I worked really hard to get here. I did all these free shoots forever. I spent a lot of time in thrift stores and thrifting online. And anyway, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Also, makeup and stuff, makeup and hair, teach yourself to do it. It's very important. Watch YouTube tutorials. I would recommend Michelle Phan. Michelle and then Phan for makeup tutorials. She's incredible. That's where I learned to do all of my makeup. And then hair tutorials, maybe Cherry Dollface does really good ones for like vintage style. I don't know who else. I don't really do any other hairstyles other than like vintage styles sometimes. But yeah, as far as cutting hair and stuff, I get that done all professionally. I don't do that on my own. But dyeing my hair, you can find tutorials online for that, to dye your own hair also to save money. So anyway, thank you so much, guys.